Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is Thorgal, the Three Elders of Aran, by Grzegorz Rosinski and Jean Van Ham. So, Thorgal was one of the first betas that I did on my channel. I think I did both of the Blueberry books before I did Thorgal, and I've done two of them so far. This is, even though it says two right here, there's technically a zero, so this is actually the third Thorgal book that I've done. And I cannot emphasize this enough. This series is amazing. Like, legitimately, if you needed a jumping on point into the sort of European comic album market, technically, I think these guys are both Belgium, I believe, not French. So I made that mistake in my previous videos on Thorgal. They're actually, because it's the Franco-Belgium market is what they call for the bande dessinée. Right, but the European comic album format, I guess you could say the continental comic book format. This book and this series is fantastic. I cannot recommend it enough. It is an absolute pain in the ass to get these books from Cinebook. Cinebook does an awful job making them available in the United States. They're much easier to get in the United Kingdom because that's where Cinebook is located in. So if you're a Brit, congrats. You've got a much better deal than us Americans. But that being said, if you can get a hold of these books, they're fantastic. What I love about Thorgal compared to other French comic books that I've read, and they're all mostly good. I honestly haven't run into one that I thought was of poor quality. It just might have been a genre that I didn't particularly like. What I love about Thorgal is that it is, for the most part, a classic compressed storytelling. So if you love 80s Marvel, 70s, Marvel DC, you'll enjoy Thorgal a lot, even though it's fantasy. So it's a different genre than like superheroes and whatnot, but the stories are all inclusive. Yeah, there's an ongoing aspect to it, and it does reach it. But these first three volumes are all stories that are closed within themselves, and they're pretty sizable too. About 44, 45 pages. This actually includes the story of the Three Elders of Aran, and then I think the Black Galley. Let's see, do I have it here? Yep, the Black Galley, which is another great story. Yeah, so the review of the book is this. Go get it. If you can get a hold of it, go ahead and get it. They're fantastic. Absolutely recommend them. They're the freaking bee's knees. The shit. The freaking you pull the trigger and grab it if you see it. But jumping into the actual contents of itself. So the first story is the Three Elders of Aran, and we kind of join Thorgal and his lady wife, Aracia. This is kind of like the family photo. This is, by the way, this was actually published back in the 80s. So it is a fairly old French, Belgium comic album. But doesn't mean it's bad. And as we've seen on this channel, oftentimes the old stuff is better. I love the art style in this book. It's like grown on me the more I've read it. It really kind of transforms you here. So they get accosted by this weirdo called Jadwin, and he brings them to the land of Aran, and everyone here is very creepy and weird. And then he tells them of the bottomless lake and this necklace right here, which is held together by these four ropes. And he says, the legend has it, the one who can cut down this necklace with one arrow is going to be the ruler of the land. And Thorgal is like, yeah, that's not going to happen. They're in four different spots. Of course, Aracia, kind of showing her cleverness, picks up an arrow and just walks over and cuts it and says, hey, that was one arrow, which is pretty funny. Fortunately for her, she gets a little greedy, and she doesn't realize that putting on the necklace, makes her the queen of the land. And they kind of take her away and say, hey, you must be wed to a great lord. This pisses off Thorgal, who's like, hey, that's my lady. And they beat him up and leave him in the woods to get eaten by wolves. Of course, if you've been reading Thorgal up until now, he is a very difficult man to kill. Very difficult to kill. So he survives that and goes and basically does his best Solid Snake impression, jumping into the castle. These panels are so great. What I love about this is that notice how like the coloring is not over rendered. You can tell someone hand colored this, right? I don't know if this is watercolors or alcohol colors, but you notice how there's a predominance of flats in a lot of areas to create emphasis, right? And you see, like, look at the flats in here, right? It's a great example that you don't need complicated coloring to get the point across in a comic book. But anyway, I'm babbling on too long. He kind of sneaks up on Jadwin and gets the best of him, but he runs in to rescue Arcia. She's been brainwashed by the three elders, and he has to escape because he gets outnumbered by the guards. And then what is announced is essentially a competition to all the lords of the land. That this land of Aran is the queen of it is available for a wedding, and she's beautiful and she has a ton of gold in her coffers, right? So very grim fairy tales, kind of classic European medieval kind of storytelling, right? I like this right here. Yes, we are. We're all ready to go after it. And here's this fellow with this helmet on. I wonder who that is. So the competition goes on, and they're all kind of treacherous, fighting over each other and getting in each other's way. They all have to run up to the top of this half dome mountain right here and pick up 3 swords and return them. The ones with the 3 swords get to continue on the competition. The Dark Knight and the regular knight named Sigurd end up teaming up together to work together to get these 2 swords. They do get the 2 swords, and through some both fun play and some treachery, it turns out Sigurd doesn't make it, but the Dark Knight does, along with this very large Viking and this green-clad lord. So when they show up, the large Viking says, "I, Karshan, with my strength shall win the lady's hand." And the green-clad lord, "I, Volsung, shall use my mind." And then the Dark Knight takes his helmet off, and it's like, "I'm Thorgal, and I'm fucking pissed. Give me back my woman." I'm paraphrasing, obviously. I'm not going to read any of this thing foreplay. Just highly recommend it. So they end up on some more quests here, and this scene right here with the tree guardian spirit that they have to get the keys from is actually really fascinating. And at the end of it all, it really has a very grim fairy tale feel to it. At the end of it all, he finds out that the 3 elders have essentially been tricking lords over the years into this competition to go back in time and get this elixir for them so that they can continue ruling the land and exploiting the people that they live on. Thorgal finds out and kind of throws it in their face, ends up saving Arcia and moving on. And it's a great, great story. I'm kind of paraphrasing it right here just because I don't want to discourage people from getting this book. Like, just read it yourself. You'll really have a great time. And the fact that you get 2 great stories in one book is awesome. So the next one is the Black Galley. And this one is interesting because it's set at a later date, I guess, after this story. Thorgal has kind of settled down, and he's in this village now working as a farmer. And Arcia is pregnant with his kid. And they're together, basically enjoying this simple life. What he doesn't realize is this young girl right here, who is getting of age, unfortunately has a bit of the hots for Thorgal. So while he's out one day night riding, she approaches him and says, "Hey, take me with you. Let's go on adventures. Let's go, be together, etc." I feel like in the translation to English that they probably censored some of this. So Cinebook is legendary for censoring stuff. I don't know why, but they do. But I'm fairly certain the reason being is we are talking about an underage girl trying to get with an older man, which does have it's a bit of a Lolita kind of thing going on. But Thorgal, being an actual good person, says, "You're a girl. Stop this, really." And she kind of blows up on him and runs into this prisoner who takes her horse. What essentially happens is she makes up a story where Thorgal helped that prisoner that she ran into, and essentially this lord right here who is investigating the village arrests Thorgal and takes him away from Arcia and his soon-to-be born child, right? And Thorgal's not going to take that. He fights like a wildcat to escape, but eventually they take him prisoner on this Black Galley, where he runs into the prince here, who is absolutely disgusting. I love the artist here has a great way of making both beautiful people and absolutely ugly people. It's something that I've always kind of like going through these European comic albums. They have such a breadth of skill to draw both ugly and beautiful people, fat, skinny, freaks and monsters and stuff like that, which makes sense since the dominant genre in continental Europe is fantasy, sci-fi, and westerns, right? You have to be able to make people look different from each other, just using like body types and facial expressions and other things, since most people are going to dress very similar, right? It's not like superhero comics where we can make Green Lantern and Flash look very different and very distinct. In this case, they have to use very subtle aspects of character design to make them stand out. And it shows in a lot of these European comics, man. Oh man, it's so nice. So, yeah, this dude, it looks like a chick, but it's actually a dude. It's this fat fuck. He sends his leopard on him. And what occurs is Thorgal essentially barely surviving as sort of a slave on this boat, as we get some intrigue between the Jarl that works for the prince and Thorgal. They end up kind of teaming up together to go against the prince. And if it isn't for the intervention of some Vikings, Thorgal would have been toast. So the Vikings help Thorgal out, and he ends up trying to get back to the village to go reunite with Arcia. But tragedy occurs, and the village has been burned down, and he runs into the Jarl who's betrayed him, right? And you get a very awesome, epic duel between the Jarl and Thorgal, with both of them kind of fighting, amazingly honorably. This is actually a really good sort of honorable duel between these two. But the end result, he runs into the chick who ratted him out. Was it Shania? And she begs him, because basically the village is they ransacked, they murdered and destroyed everything. And she begs him, hey, please, kill me. I don't deserve to live. I'm sorry for everything. Thorgal, freaking maximum Chad right here, basically is like, no, Shania, you will have to live to bury all the dead. They are yours. Oh man, dude, this is like, the layouts here are amazing. These are great layouts. I cannot, praise this comic book enough. And it sounds like I'm becoming like, a French comic book, nerd or everything. But no, legitimately, if you have to grab one, like Blueberry is awesome. And I love Blueberry because it's got Mobius and everything. But like in terms of just like long run entertainment, god damn, Thorgal is good. Damn, it's good. I cannot wait to get the next one, because I know the next one is actually the fourth one, or fifth, I guess, book is The Archers, and that's the one that everyone tells me is really, really good, and I'm looking real forward to it. Yeah, there's probably like some European viewers that like see these videos and they're like, this guy's such a weirdo. These books have been out forever. and you're 100% right, but you remember they're very, very unknown in the United States. Not many people know about Thorgal, which is really unfortunate. This is like, dude, this would be a fucking sick ass like movie or series, honestly. But maybe that's the American in me. For some reason we always want to make really shitty movies out of everything. So maybe it's best that it's just a really good French comic, or Franco-Belgium comic, I should say. Anyway, I've gone on and on and on about this book long enough. I've been trying to keep these videos a little bit shorter, but sometimes it's hard when especially I really like something. Anyhow, that's the video, Thorgal, the Three Elders of Aran. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit the bell for notifications. If you got any comments on Thorgal, the Three Elders of Aran, or the Thorgal series, or French or European comic albums, leave it down below, and I will see you next time.